whatever you want to call it, is probably mounted and secured, and cracked, damaged, or loose. There's no hole, but it's able to hold the load in this trailer. The rivets on the front of the trailer and the rivets on the side of the trailer from the front all the way to the back are probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and no rivets are missing. The apron of my trailer, we mentioned the apron twice because there's a discrepancy with some examiners. Mention a couple uncouple and then mention it again. Can't go wrong. The apron of my trailer is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, with no broken welds. What do we got here? All right. Up top, got a marker light. Probably mounted and secured. Not cracked, damaged, or loose. Not cracked, damaged, or loose. It's the proper color M. I should have, as a perfect example, you don't, Mr. Examiner, I should have at least 50% DOT tape on the front of my trailer all the way down to the back. All right? Come over here. The frame of my trailer is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. The floor of my trailer is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, with no holes. The integrity of my door, my side panels, is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and there are no holes. The cross members of my trailer, from the front of my trailer all the way down to the back, probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and there's no signs of twisting. My landing gear, or K-frame, whatever you want to call it, is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and my pads, or feet, are at the proper height from the ground. My landing gear handle is probably mounted and secured, it's not cracked, damaged, or loose, and it is in the locked position. Once you finish that, your next stop is that center light right here. My marker light, four-way indicator, and signal light is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and it's the proper color and. From here, once you do this, you're underneath the trailer talking about the suspension and that first set of tires, just like on B. Guys, yes, you got to get underneath the trailer. It's the day of your test. First things first, Mr. Examiner, my lines are not hanging dangerously low to my ground, to the ground. My tandem release handle is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and it is in the lock position. My tandem release slide rail with my locking pins is probably mounted and secured. It's not cracked, damaged, or loose. It's free of debris, and my locking pins are in the lock position. This is a new school suspension. Right here is an I-beam. This is an I-beam. This is what it looks like, right there. My I-beam is probably mounted and secured. It's not cracked, damaged, or loose. My U-bolts with the nuts are probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and the nuts are all present. My shock absorber is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and it's not leaking. My airbag is probably mounted and secured. No abrasions, bulges, or cuts, no leaks. My airbag mounts are probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and not cracked, damaged, or loose. My double band brake chamber is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, with no leaks. My air lines, brake lines, are probably mounted and secured, no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and no leaks. Behind my brake chamber, I have a slack adjuster, push rod, with my cotter pin, all three probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. Go into your brake system now. My brake pads or brake liners, whatever you want to call them, are probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. No signs of oil, no signs of grease, and it should be no less than a quarter of an inch thick. My brake drum is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. There's no signs of oil, no signs of grease, and no signs of excessive heat. Once you finish your brakes, go right into your rim, your inside tire rim. My inside rim is probably mounted and secured. It's not cracked, damaged, or loose. There are no broken welds. Once you do that, you're out talking about the rest of the time. The bud spacer is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and there is no daylight in between my rims. My outside rim with my factory holes is probably free debris. My outside rim with my factory holes is probably mounted and secured, It's not cracked, damaged, or loose. No illegal weldings. My valve stem is probably mounted and secured. Not cracked, damaged, or loose. No leaks. Should have a metal cap. If it didn't, I would make a note of it on my DVR.
For those nuts, is for that rim is no distorted bolt holes too?
Nope, you ain't gotta say it.
Okay.
Just what I'm telling you is what you gotta say.
Gotcha.
My lug nuts are all present, probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. There's no rust trails, which would indicate a loose lug nut, and there's no shiny thread, which would indicate a cross thread of one of my lug nuts. My axle seal is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and not leaking. The inside sidewall of both my tires is probably mounted and secured, no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, no leaks. The outside sidewall of both my tires is probably mounted and secured, no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, and no leaks. Both my tires are worn evenly. They can be 232 tread depth, and they can be recaps, and they're free to burn. From here, the next stop is your mud flap. Two parts to it. My mud flap hanger is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. My mud flap is probably mounted and secured, not worn, torn, or frayed, and it is at the right height from the ground. From there, your next stop is the yellow light right here, amber. My ABS light is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. It's the proper color amber, and it's not on. All these trailers just have the one marker light here. You don't have to look up top. My marker light is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and it's the proper color red. From here, we go around back. You guys can clearly see that this door is a mess.
Excuse me.
Right? So, with this door, obviously this door panel's missing. There should be cables here, just like this, on both sides. There should be cable mounts, top and bottom. So, if you get this trailer, because you never know, that is a designated test truck. If that truck breaks down, it's this one. If this one breaks down, it's that one. If that one breaks down, and so on and so forth. That's why you guys got to know it all. Believe me, just a couple months ago, Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon before test day, that truck broke down. And it was this truck that they had to use. Yeah, so it can happen. So this is the way it would go. Obviously, Mr. Examiner's door is a mess. I'm missing panels, I'm missing cables. If I wasn't missing anything, this is the way it would go. Grab your handle, my door is in a locked position. The integrity of all my door panels is probably mounted and secured, no cracked, damaged, or loose, no holes. My cables on both sides, with my cable mounts, would be probably mounted and secured, not one torn or frayed. The cables wouldn't be missing, and the mounts are all present. I should have 100% DOT tape at the bottom of my door or up top. My door seal, which you can see Mr. Examiner is missing, would be probably mounted and secured, not worn, torn, or frayed, and not missing. My marker lights up top are probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and in the proper color red. My four lights back here are my running lights, four-way indicators, signal lights, and brake lights. The inside ones are my brake lights on every trailer. They're probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and they are the proper color red. The DOT bumper is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. I should, and I do, have 100% DOT tape. That's it. That's C right there. Let's head over to this one. This is the mud flap. Go right here. My tie back hook. My tie back hook is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, not missing. My ABS light is probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. It's the proper color amber, and it's not on. The marker light, probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose. It's the proper color red. Come back here. The marker lights up top are probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and they're the proper color red. My four lights back here are my brake lights, four-way indicators, signal lights, and running lights. All of them are probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and in proper color red. The inside ones are my brake lights. Again, Mr. Examiner, obviously there's something wrong with this door. But if there wasn't, my door is in a locked position. The integrity of both my doors are probably mounted and secured, not cracked, damaged, or loose, and there are no holes. My weather stripping or weather seal around my door is probably mounted and secured, not worn, torn, or frayed, and not missing. All my hinges Around all my doors are probably mounted and secure. Not cracked, damaged, loose, and not missing. I have 100% DOT tape on my door. My DOT bumper is probably mounted and secure. Not cracked, damaged, or loose. I should have, and I do have, 100% DOT tape. Right?
Yep.
Let's go up to the other trailer. We'll do that.